Greetings from Colorado, everybody, one last time. Just as a reminder, my name is Monique Apodaca. I'm a third grade teacher at a charter school here in Pueblo West, Colorado. We're expecting our first snow in the morning, so I thought no better time than now to knock this case study out of the park. So let's get started. Section 1 covers summarizing the case. So we are in the Lightville Community School District. Population is increasing continuously in this rural farm town. Currently, there is just an elementary school that's K through 6 and a secondary junior high school that's 7 through 12. Population is increasing at such a high rate that there is a need for an elementary, middle, and high school all separately. An architectural firm presented 3 ideas to Superintendent Rawlings and the board, and the idea of building that new middle school came about and was accepted. After the plan was accepted, there was a need to appoint a principal. In this case, 12 months before the school was up and running. And the board and superintendent and the hiring committee decided that Susan Potter, an experienced assistant principal from a suburban middle school, was the best for the job. Susan, after being appointed, creates an advisory committee that is going to decide what the vision and mission statement for this new middle school will be. 2 members on this advisory committee that we are introduced to are Helen Burke, which is the social studies and English teacher, and Dan Kelby, which is the PE teacher. As we all remember in the study, Susan Potter, the principal, is asked first to become chair of this advisory committee, which she refuses. And after she refuses, Helen Burke takes over as committee chair. Dan Kelby is just a member of this committee. All right, so let's move on to section 2. I did not see any breaches of legal or unethical activity in what we were given to read. However, there is the concern that 1/3 of the community did vote against building this new middle school because the community is already in debt, so they don't want to increase that debt by building a brand new school. The other 1/3 were the community members that wanted one of the other 2 options. Section 3, synthesizing what's happening. This was kind of difficult for me. It was hard to condense all of what I summarized into one sentence. So this is what I came up with. After it has been decided to build a new middle school, Susan Potter, in parentheses the principal, and her advisory committee must create the vision and mission statements for the new school. Okay, from there, we move on to section 4, which is synthesizing the facts. We break it down into, in this case, I only broke it down into people and place, because I feel like the program is embedded within these 2. So the facts of the people we know are the Lightville community. Obviously, the entire community will be impacted by the building of this new school. Whether they have students or not, at some point, those students will become adults, which in return become a part of the community. Obviously, it affects the students at both the elementary, middle, and high school level, because the elementary will be losing 6th grade. The high school, or the senior high school, will be losing 7th and 8th grade in order to build this this middle school. So it will be affecting both the elementary and the high school by creating the middle school. Obviously, the principal is involved in these decisions. The superintendent is involved in these decisions. The board of the district is involved in these decisions. We know that Helen Burke will be involved in these decisions, and we know that Dan Kelby is also involved in these decisions. Now, it's important to remember that the principal, the superintendent, the committee, all of these people were not discussing what option to go with. The option has been decided for us. We are going to build a new middle school. The situation that we're dealing with is creating this vision and mission statement and how that's going to happen. Okay. Continuing with synthesizing the facts, we move on to place. Again, we're in the Lightville community. It's a rural town. It has a lot of farmland and a lot of farmers. The study said that the town is 60% of the residents are farmers. The study also said that there has been an increase in population, which is what's causing this new school to be built, because the population that's increasing are bringing school-age children with them. So an increase in population therefore causes an increase in enrollment in our schools. It also states that the Lightville community is 10 miles away from a major city, which why pay to live in a large city when you can pay less for more land in a small town? And in that small town, you've got nicer, more relatively new schools than those inner city schools that I'm imagining are in the major city. All right, let's move on to section 5, reviewing and prioritizing the information. So Principal Susan Potter requests that she not be solely in charge of creating the new school's vision and mission statement. She asks that the advisory committee have input as well. The advisory committee, in return, insists that Ms. Potter create the vision and mission statement on her own. Let's start with the damage that may occur with stakeholders in the community. So I have on my slides here that the vision statement should reflect the collective thinking of stakeholders. If not, others' values, priorities, and hopes aren't heard. And I think that's where Ms. Potter's coming from here. It's important to her that it's not just her voice, especially coming in to this community that she's not from. That's most important to her. She doesn't know what's occurred before. She doesn't know what's going to happen in the future. So she does want the community, the parents, the staff, she wants all of their insight when it comes to creating this vision and mission statement. I also have on my slide that the mission statement directly affects and what is going to cause the vision statement to happen. So the mission statement is what your school stands for. The vision statement is what you imagine your school is going to stand for, what it's going to look like in 5 years, what it's going to look like in 10 years, and how that's going to affect the community around us. So again, these stakeholders are not just in our schools, they're in our community as well, especially a small farming community like this. I'm sure it's a community where everybody knows everybody. Continuing with reviewing and prioritizing this information, the individuals and groups at stake. Those, like we just talked about, are the members of the community, students in the elementary, middle, and high school, and all staff amongst all those schools, no matter what level, from the janitor to the principal, from a teacher, a grade school teacher, to a high school teacher, from a PE teacher to an art teacher. This affects everybody. And last but not least, consulting the stakeholders. I don't feel like this was done well in the study at all. But I don't know how well it could be done. The Lightville community members were not given a say in the choice of this firm's decision. The architectural firm decided what was best for the community. The superintendent was in on that, and of course the board. But other than that, nobody had a say in anything, which I thought was a little strange. I feel like nowadays we have bonds that go through first, especially when tax increases might happen, and when the community is going to be affected directly. Okay, section 6, identifying your opinion and the possible consequences. So I cut straight to solutions here. My no action solution would obviously mean I would have to, or not I, but Miss Potter, would have to comply with what the committee has asked of her. So she would need to create the vision and mission statement on her own. The comprehensive and liberal action that I think Miss Potter should think about taking is creating another committee of teachers and parents to strictly focus on just the mission and vision statement. So recruiting more teachers and parents that aren't on the advisory committee to just solely focus on creating a mission and vision statement for this new school. And another strategy that I think might benefit Miss Potter would, or another option that she could go with, would be to create multiple vision and mission statements to present to those current advisory committee members. So bring forward 4 or 5 ideas of these vision and mission statements and let the committee decide which one they think is best based on those 5. So limiting their choices, because a huge concern of the chairperson Helen was that it would take forever to get a consensus together from that many people, from 8 people, plus the principal. It would just take forever. So if they were limited to just those 5 vision or mission statements, they could collaborate and choose one together. All right, on to section 7, evaluating those 3 options. So if she took no action, the pros of that would be that there is absolutely no contemplation. The decision is made immediately by Miss Potter. There's no discussing. There's no arguing. It would just be her decision, just like Helen wants. There's 2 cons of this, at least that I've identified. 1, the community and stakeholders don't have their values, opinions, and input into those vision and mission statements, which was Miss Potter's number 1 concern. Number 2, that puts a lot of responsibility on this already new principal to create a vision and mission statement, on top of hiring teachers, and on top of choosing a curriculum, on top of meeting with the construction crews before the school even opens. So this adds another thing on her plate. The pros that go along with our comprehensive and liberal action of finding a new committee of people to create these vision and mission statements. The pros would be that the current committee doesn't have to create or choose one, which is exactly what they didn't want to do in the first place. And then another pro is that you're getting more parents and more teachers involved in the decision-making process. So you're building that community. A con of this comprehensive liberal action is that, again, more responsibility is put on that principal to find another group of parents and teachers to create a new committee. So again, more responsibility is placed on the principal. Our last solution, which was our last strategy, and this was the strategy that Miss Potter